Ladies and gentlemen, and patriots and comrades, voters of Nairobi, good afternoon. I am pleased to join you again today, Sunday, June the 4th at 3 o'clock for our regular live stream broadcast. First of all, I would like to introduce my running mate, Karen Wangenye, to the transformation team. Karen Wanjiku Wangenye is a 29-year-old resident of Nairobi who graduated from the Catholic University of East Africa with a degree in sociology, a honors degree in sociology in 2010. Karen has worked as a senior manager with various private entities within Nairobi and has also been running a catering business in the city of Nairobi. She is both a youth and a dynamic woman leader in our city. She was born, raised, educated in the city of Nairobi. She's not new to the city of Nairobi. She's not new to the problems and challenges of the city of Nairobi. She is a transformative leader on her own right. She joins the integrity team as part of our team. So I welcome Karen, and I hope that you will give her full cooperation as we continue to deconstruct the cartels and liberate Nairobi from them. A question has been asked: what happened to James Gathongo, the young youth who graduated from Laikipia University and I had unveiled a few weeks earlier? I will give you the best information that we are willing to give at this moment because obviously James also is entitled to his privacy. We respect his contribution to the transformation agenda. We value his dynamism and leadership. But in the political dispensation of Nairobi, we have encountered, of course, as expected, some challenges. The cartels, as you're aware, have been out in full force trying to sabotage us, either by using the media or using people that they have sent deliberately to join our campaign so as to undermine it. It became obvious after a few weeks that the cartels had reached James and had convinced him not to fully participate in our campaign. And James, unfortunately, fell into the cartel trap and failed to meet the requirements of the IEBC on time until it became too late. He had not, as of the 1st of June, when I was supposed to clear with the IBC, produced a certified degree from Laikipia University. He had not, as of the date of clearing with the IBC, produced a certified Section 13 EACC form, which is a self-declaration form that would comply with Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And lastly, James had not produced any copy of the nomination forms that he had been given by the returning officer, choosing to bring an empty form that had not been completed and that had not been saved as required by the IBC. Under those circumstances, therefore, I was entitled and had a full duty and responsibility, not just to myself as a candidate, but also to my supporters and to the city of Nairobi, to get someone else that is as fully committed, that is dynamic, that is a leader in her own right, that is a woman, and that is youth. And I believe that we have made the right choice. It is unfair for anyone to blame me for failures of other people, nor is it fair to blame me for the actions of the cartels, nor is it fair to blame me for changing my running mate when others have done so without any questions. Mr. Peter Kenneth, and I'm not saying this as an excuse or justification, I'm saying this because it is the truth. Mr. Peter Kenneth ran for the Jubilee nominations, which he failed in, with a female purported running mate. When he unveiled on the 1st of June, he came with a different running mate. He was entitled to do that. He had full rights and responsibilities to change if he felt that his previous running mate did not fit that office. But nobody has challenged him for why he did so. There are many governors, including the governor of Mombasa, many governors that have changed their running mates, either because the running mates ran away, or because they were compromised, or because their interests collided or changed. That is normal. Running mates are not going to be the people on the ballot. The candidate for the gubernatorial race in Nairobi is going to be Miguna. I am on the ballot. My running mate is just part of the team. She is, of course, the second in rank after the governor. But she is part of the team, just like I am the leader of the team, but must work with members of my team when we form the government to transform Nairobi. So that is the explanation. Anybody else looking for anything else is out for pettiness and is not interested in the transformation. What is important here is the agenda, the cause, the concrete policies and programs that we have for the people of Nairobi. And these are the elimination of corruption and the rapacious looting and greed that has destroyed the city of Nairobi. Kidero Evans is the dean of looters. This I am going to say up to the end, until we arrest and incarcerate this human beast in the body of Kidero Evans. The man is a bad thief. The man has looted public resources in Nairobi until Nairobi cannot grow and become prosperous. Kidero Evans is listed by the EACC on the long list that they're provided to the IBC for purposes of locking him out. Whether he's locked out or not, by the institutions that are put there to deal with thieves like him, the voters of Nairobi have the last word. Your last word is your ballot. You must responsibly exercise that right on the 8th of August 2017. Do not elect Kidero Evans. Do not vote for Kidero Evans. Kidero Evans is a bad thief that has looted more than 200 billion Kenya shillings that is enough to transform the city. This man cannot be elected by responsible, intelligent people. Let us defeat Kidero Evans. The second person that has been listed by the EACC on that long list is Mike Mbuvi Sonko, not his real name. This man is not just a primitive human being, a completely functionally illiterate human being. This man is a bad thug and a criminal. The man was convicted in 1997 in Mombasa for fraud. He was also convicted for drug peddling. The man went to Shimolatewa prison. The man escaped from Shimolatewa prison. The man changed his name, moved to Nairobi, continued with his criminal activities, and has now decided to run for office in order to turn Nairobi into a parking lot. Mbuvi Sonko is a big, huge scoundrel, worse than Kidero Evans, a man who wants to turn Uhuru Park into a matatu terminus, cannot lead the city of Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, not the headquarters of hawkers. Nairobi cannot become the headquarters of matatus. Nairobi cannot become the headquarters of garbage. Nairobi will not become the headquarters of drug traffickers, which is what Mbuvi Sonko want to turn it into. Nairobi, we are not going to allow Mbuvi Sonko to turn into the headquarters of handouts, a headquarter of people who are going to be economically and financially insecure and depend only on begging from drug traffickers. Mbuvi Sonko must be defeated. Mbuvi Sonko must be defeated very resoundingly. I have heard very many mythical stories from the contaminated media. They have been saying Mbuvi Sonko is popular. Now let us look at the facts. Chilled logic will completely deconstruct this man. So at the Jubilee nominations 3 weeks ago, we had 2.3 registered voters on the IBC register, which is what the Jubilee Party used for its nomination. And all people needed were ID cards, not registration, not anything else, not membership of Jubilee, just ID cards to be able to vote. Out of 2.3 million voters, how many voted for Mbuvi Sonko? 138,185. 138,185. That's 5% of the registered voters. Mbuvi Sonko got 25,000 votes less than the no quantity Sakaja Johnson. So Sakaja beat Mbuvi Sonko. If they were to contest against each other in the Jubilee nominations, Sakaja would have emerged the Jubilee nominee for Nairobi. So this is the man that they are saying is very popular. The man is not popular. What the man does is that if he's given from his drug deals 5 million, he would go with 200,000 to a dilapidated residential area, one of the slums. He would use 50 shillings, 200 shillings each to give to some thugs and youth, and then this youth would escort him with noise, and that is supposed to be popularity. Mbuvi Sonko is not popular. In fact, the majority of the money that he gives to these youth are usually given to his so-called Sonko rescue team members, who are just youth trying to find something to do because they are poor, because they are hungry, and because they have no jobs. Now, Mbuvi Sonko is not giving them jobs. Mbuvi Sonko has not created jobs for these people. As a senator, it was his responsibility and duty to make sure that we had jobs in Nairobi, that Kidero Evans was brought to account for the looting, so that the money Kidero Evans looted could be used to build institutions, to create factories for employment, to create employment and skill incubators in the city, to train the youth either so that they could employ themselves or could find themselves gainful employment. This he did not do. He did not speak even once in the Senate, which was his job. He is the worst performing senator in the history of Kenya. He was also the worst performing member of parliament for Makadara. Never spoke once in 10 years. This man was incapable of even reading the speech that they wrote for him during the unveiling of his running mate. And so they want to mislead the country. They want to mislead Nairobians that they have brought somebody called Igathe to help Mr. Mbuvi Sonko, the drug dealer. Number one, Nairobians are not going to elect a deputy governor. Nairobians are going to elect a governor. And Mbuvi Sonko is not qualified as a governor. The Jubilee government has given us a scoundrel, a skunk, a human primitive animal in the name of Mbuvi Sonko as a candidate for Nairobi. This man must be rejected. This animal must be caged in a prison so that he can be rehabilitated. He ran away from prison before he finished his term. That was the place where he should have been rehabilitated. So we must tell the Jubilee government, no sir, no ma'am, Nairobi is too important for a primitive thief, a primitive criminal, a primitive drug dealer. If, for whatever reason, Mr. William Ruto intends to extend his thuggery to Nairobi through Mbuvi Sonko, we will tell him a resounding no. I did not intend to go against William Ruto, but if he wants to extend his thuggery to Nairobi, we will stand up as patriots and tell William Ruto and his cartoon called Mbuvi Sonko, no, 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 sir. Nairobi is too important for experiments. We are not going to allow drug dealers and criminals to run our city. And we are certainly not going to allow criminals to run our country. So we are going to oppose you and oppose you fearlessly up to the end. I'm saying today that whether the IBC locks out Mbuvi Sonko and Kidero Evans will not change facts. These are criminals. These are criminals that should be in jail. I heard Mr. Kidero Evans say that the IBC gave him a clearance certificate just last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. That is false. The EACC does not give clearance certificates. I meant EACC. What the EACC was supposed to do is stamp our Section 13 self-declaration form, which was just a form that you complete, you have commissioned before an advocate, a commission of oaths, take to the EACC looks at it and stamps received. That's not a clearance certificate. The EACC is now supposed to look at that declaration form and find whether or not a candidate has misrepresented facts based on their records. Clearly, the EACC has looked at our self-declaration forms, and the EACC has now come back and said Mbuvi Sonko and Kidero Evans do not meet the requirements of Chapter 6, the integrity provisions. That's a job, a statutory duty given by the Constitution and the integrity provisions and the Act, the Integrity Act, to the EACC. That responsibility does not belong to Kidero Evans. That responsibility does not belong to Mbuvi Sonko. So the EACC has spoken. In properly governed societies, both Mbuvi Sonko and Kidero Evans would not be in the ballot, whether they have been cleared by the IBC or not. The IBC was not, as I said, on the 2nd of June, ought not to have cleared these two thugs. That was a big mistake. Let me come to Peter Kenneth. Peter Kenneth, just like Kidero Evans, is a huge, big looter. He is a member of the basket of deplorables. He, before Kidero Evans bankrupted Mumias, had already bankrupted Kenyari. Peter Kenneth is Kidero Evans' tutor, looting tutor. They are two big thieves. Peter Kenneth is not cleaner than Kidero Evans. Peter Kenneth is as dirty as Kidero Evans. He looted a state corporation to death, and he had to be removed from Kenyari by the High Court and the Kenya National Assembly that voted to remove him, because at the time when he was removed, he was already in the process of selling Kenyari to the Zimbabwean government for a song so that he could pocket all the money. He was not yet done with Kenyari. So he left public service dishonorably. We must say it as it is. Now some people are looking at these people's backgrounds and saying that they had been tested and that they fit the leadership of the city. Now tell me, what was the test? Is the test for leadership how much somebody has stolen? Because that is all that Kidero Evans, Peter Kenneth, and Mbuvi Sonko qualify for. They have looted public resources. They have grabbed public land. Mbuvi Sonko has been selling drugs. He has been convicted and sentenced to jail for his criminal activity. Kidero Evans is facing criminal charges as of now. Multiple criminal charges. Kidero Evans is facing criminal charges for money laundering through his foundation, through his lawyer, and through his office. Kidero Evans is also facing criminal charges through his chief of staff, Mr. Wainaina, who has been charged with theft of public resources. Kidero Evans is also facing charges through his chief financial officer, Mr. Kiamba, who has been charged with stealing 2.3 billion public money, which he was stealing mostly for Kidero Evans. Kidero Evans is facing charges for opening 15 fraudulent bank accounts, which he has used to stash public accounts or public funds. Now, of course, he's gone to court and has had many injunctions. That does not change facts that he's facing charges. Kidero Evans, as we speak, with Mbuvi, have been banned from traveling to the United States of America and most European countries. There is no transaction these two gentlemen or these two thieves, these two crooks can transact on behalf of the city of Nairobi or the county of Nairobi. These two skanks must be stopped together with Kidero Evans' tutor, looting tutor, Peter Kenneth. Peter Kenneth is not qualified, is not competent. He has 2 fraudulent degrees that he bought from the University of Nairobi, just like Sonko bought a degree from Kemu. His 4th degree cannot replace his mediocre brain. As you could see, he could not read a speech that has been written for him. That brain will not be replaced because he has gotten Igathe as his running mate. Now, considering Igathe himself is a looter. He was one of the directors of Uchumi Supermarkets between 2015 and 2016 when Uchumi went belly up. These are bad thieves. He's also been associated with Paddock Investments in Runda Estate that has illegally in the process of building a 200-room hotel in a residential area. The Runda neighbors of Igathe are up in arms against him. This man is not just a skunk like the rest, but is a looter, a certified looter. We cannot leave Nairobi City to looters. People have been asking, Miguna, why are you saying all these things against your opponents? It is my duty and responsibility to do so. I have been fighting for good governance for 30 years. I started this struggle in 1987 at the University of Nairobi, where I was a student leader. I stood firm, courageously, and fearlessly against Daniel Arap Moi's dictatorship. Moi arrested and abducted me at night, arrested me, detained me, then expelled me from the University of Nairobi. I continued the struggle and have been consistent throughout. Stealing is one of the easiest things in the world. You don't have to have exceptional intelligence to become a thief. Any one of you can steal. Any one of you can grab land, just like you saw Kavura the hairdresser stealing hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money. You don't have to have exceptional brain to steal. So Miguna could have become a thief. Miguna could have become a billionaire from tenderpreneuring and grabbing public land. Miguna could have become a thief, stealing his client's money as a lawyer, as a barrister and solicitor in Canada for 23 years, as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya since 1998, or since 2008. I could have grabbed public land and stolen public resources like they were doing in the former Prime Minister's office when I was the senior most advisor to the Prime Minister. I could have done that. I chose not to do it. I chose not to do it because I have integrity, because I'm incorruptible. I believe that public resources are sacrosanct and that an individual should not be allowed, should not be permitted to steal, to loot public resources that are meant for development. People have been saying, Miguna, the cartels control Nairobi. How will you defeat them? My answer is this. The cartels do not control Nairobi. Nairobi belongs to Nairobians. The 6 million majestic people of Nairobi own Nairobi. We are the ones who pay taxes. We are the ones who produce. We are the ones who are making Nairobi great and prosperous. We do so from our skills, ingenuities, innovation. We do so through our creativity. We do so through our hard work. We do so by being decent, honest citizens of Nairobi. Nairobi is going to become prosperous when we implement the manifesto. My manifesto, our manifesto, is a transformative manifesto. It is a manifesto that is anchored on integrity. Integrity is the pith and substance of leadership. Vision, the vision of a leader is what will make Nairobi great. I have a clear vision. I have a progressive ideology. I have concrete policies and programs for the transformation of Nairobi. What are they? First, we are going to conduct a forensic audit of all institutions of Nairobi. We are going to conduct a forensic audit of all leaders of Nairobi, starting with the governor, the outgoing one and the incoming one, the deputy and all the cabinet. They are going to be forensically audited, all of us. And only those who are squeaky clean will get into office. If there is any credible evidence that Miguna is guilty of corruption, of land grabbing, of anything that touches on public interest, Miguna will resign before he takes office. I will completely relinquish my responsibilities as governor. Any claim, any credible claim that can be sustained, I will not wait to be convicted. I will not wait to be prosecuted. I will not wait for the EACC and the DPP and all other state organs to come to look for me. All my accounts will be subject to investigation. They will be open for the EACC, the DPP, the police, to look at, the KRA, to look at and see whether they contain any scintilla, any smell, any whiff of impropriety. That will apply to my deputy and will apply to all the cabinet. And that will apply to all the civil service working under me. City Hall will be squeaky clean. So that will be the beginning. Once we do that, public resources will be safe. Your taxes will be safe. The city revenues will be safe. The city land will be safe. And we can use the resources to transform and develop Nairobi. The economy will pick up. We will create jobs through building huge, big, straight, modern roads. Modern roads, beneath them, we will have storm sewers. We will have storm drainage systems. We will have a solid waste management system, a modern, integrated solid waste management system. We will have it within 5 years of my taking office, because that is the time that I have to implement these things. We will have a subway system constructed, a railway system underground, for those who do not know the meaning of a subway system, that will be transporting people from Ruai to Kasarani, from Dandora to Kibra, from the CBD to Mathare. People will be zooming throughout the city of Nairobi using a light rail system that we will implement. These will create jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs. Then we will build modern, affordable housing. We will replace the slums, the 120 slums in the city, the stinking slums, the slums which have no sewer system, the slums with no water, no sanitation, the slums with nowhere for the children to play, the slums that are like tinderboxes, like jailhouses within the city. We will make these modern, they will be affordable, they will be clean, they will be humane. We will do this without increasing taxes because we have enough money. And we will do this as we partner with not just domestic but international well-wishers. They are there. But they cannot do anything now because if you bring any amount of money, Kidero Evans will steal all of it, and Sonko will loot all of it, and Peter Kenneth will become a multi-billionaire and buy more helicopters with it. These people just build big homes, they buy helicopters, they buy big cars using your money, and they take their children to school abroad and have their children live like they live in heaven when you live in filth. Miguna has not misused his office, his position in public office throughout his life. It was not the issue of that I did not have access to. I did, working for the office of the Prime Minister. These basket of deplorables are not fit for this office. Then what else are we going to do? We are going to harvest water, rainwater in Nairobi. As the UNESCO said, we have enough rain to be able to provide for 233 million people. As in Kenya. That includes Nairobi. But the problem is that our leaders are not harvesting the water. Our leaders are not building reservoirs for keeping this water. And of course, our leaders are stealing the money that is meant for the supply of water. Mbuvi Sonko would like to Nairobi residents, the 6 million of them, to be running all over town with baskets looking for water, so that they can look for dirty water to chotter from some tanks, maybe 3 tanks. That's a joke. This man does not understand what is meant by transformation. So residents of Nairobi will have clean running water under my administration. We will build recreational parks, theme parks, swimming pools, gardens, for the people of Nairobi, so that we can live not just in clean environment, but also healthy environment. The environment is very important. Nairobi River will be cleaned. It will be cleaned. Nairobi River will be a river, not a dump site the way it is now. Dandora will become a respectable, clean residential area, not a dump site. The Dandora dump site will go. We do not need dump sites in Nairobi. So the next thing we will do after that, we will have 20,000 scholarships given to the brightest students of Nairobi, so that these students, the brightest, regardless of their background, whether they come from poor or well-to-do background, they will access the scholarships. The scholarships will be for college and university education locally and abroad. We have enough money, we will source for more, and we will grant 20,000 scholarships to our brightest students in science and technology, ICT, in health sciences, in humanities, in social sciences, in architecture and design. We will be able to produce well-rounded, holistic, intellectually holistic, brilliant young students. Because without producing mentally and intellectually equipped students, we have no future. A county like Nairobi cannot grow and prosper without having well-trained, skilled, innovative, creative, resourceful, young, dynamic people. And I'm going to allow them to thrive. Leadership, prosperity, financial and economic security will not depend on where somebody was born. It will not depend on how much somebody's parents have. It will not depend on whether or not somebody steals. It will depend on what the creativity and innovation and resourcefulness you bring on the table. It will depend on hard work. I am going to build a merit-based society. Nairobi is going to be an emblem. Nairobi is going to be the example. Nairobi is going to be the shining armor of this republic. Everybody will want to come to Nairobi. Will want to come to Nairobi to work. Will want to come to Nairobi to live. Will want to come to Nairobi to visit. Will want to come to Nairobi just to enjoy the splendor and the spectacular transformation that we are going to introduce starting the 9th of August 2017. I'm appealing to all patriots of Nairobi. Do not listen to cynics. Do not listen to complainers. Do not listen to agonizers. Do not accept the myth that Nairobi belongs to crooks and scoundrels. Do not accept the myth that Nairobi belongs to looters. Do not accept the myth that the scoundrels and the cartels own Nairobi voters. Reject the myths. whether the myths are spread by the media, the contaminated media, or it is spread by my opponents. Nairobi belongs to all of us. It is the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. It belongs to the Ogiek. It belongs to the Maasai. It belongs to the Somali. It belongs to the Kikuyu. It belongs to the Luo. It belongs to the Luya and the Kamba. It belongs to the Digo. It belongs to every one of us. Nairobi does not belong to a few contaminated cartels. Nairobi belongs to us. And patriots, you are 99.9% of the population of Nairobi. Nobody owns you. You are not a slave of anyone. Vote for the right candidate on August 8th. Do not allow anyone to discourage you. Do not sell your vote. Mobilize your neighbors. Mobilize your workmates. Mobilize your relatives. Mobilize your family members. Mobilize anyone that you can reach. Big posters and billboards and road shows and rallies do not vote. Big road shows and rallies do not vote. Voters like you vote. They tell me, Miguna, voters are on not Facebook and Twitter. They are. The other day, I was walking downtown, and yesterday, I went to Clay Works. Everybody I met had a smartphone. Everybody. The Mamamboga had smartphones. The Makangas had smartphones. The house girls had smartphones. The pedestrians on the street had smartphones. It is not true that Nairobi residents do not have smartphones. More than 86% of them do. They listen to me on Facebook. They read my tweets. They hear what I'm saying. They recognize me anywhere I go. They say, Governor, go. I will go. I will take power at City Hall. I will embrace the responsibilities that Nairobians are going to bestow me with. And I will use that humbly, honorably, to transform Nairobi. It can be done, and it must be done, and it will be done. Now, history is very important. History is so important. In 1964, Mandela was jailed by the apartheid system in South Africa. 1964. He stayed there for 27 years. Mandela had no access to telephone. Mandela had no access to TV. Mandela had no access to radio. Mandela came out after 27 years and became a president in the in South Africa. Mandela did not head a ministry. Mandela was not a cabinet minister under apartheid. Mandela was not a CEO or MD of any state corporation. Mandela had not even practiced law. Mandela had not headed anything. And on reflection, South Africans will tell you, Mandela did much better than Zuma. Mandela was much better than Tambo. Okay? But Mandela, there was no school Mandela went to learn leadership. All Mandela had is a clear vision, a progressive ideology, and integrity, which is the software of leadership. Go along history. Look at, for example, the Prime Minister of Greece, Alexis Tsipras, who won that country's elections on the 21st of September 2015. He surprised everyone. He was an underdog. Nobody gave him a chance. People laughed when you mentioned Mr. Tsipras' name. When elections came, he defeated everybody. It can be done. It must be done. How about Brazil on January 1st, 2003? Who was sworn in as president? who was sworn in as president, Lula da Silva. Lula da Silva was a trade unionist. He did not have any great party. He did not come from an established family. He was not an elite. He was not rich. He defeated everybody, including the established parties. How about Macron, Emmanuel Macron? On May 7th, 2017, what happened in France? An independent candidate defeated all the established party candidates. What does that show you? How about in Gambia? What happened? They elected an independent candidate as the president of Gambia. The world is embracing integrity everywhere you go. Kenya is not in Jupiter or on planet Moon. Kenya is on the planet Earth. Kenyans were not created by God after God created South Africa, the United States of America, France, or Gambia. Kenya was created on the same day for those who believe on creation, even the evolution. For those who believe in evolution, Kenyans did not evolve after the people in the United States. They did not evolve after the monkeys. Kenyans evolved with human beings at the same time. Barack Obama campaigned in the United States with vision, with a clear ideology, with integrity. Essentially, what I'm saying is this: we have what it takes as Nairobi residents, as the majestic people of Kenya, as patriots. We have seen that 55 years of electing for this basket of deplorables have only brought us poverty, has brought us exploitation, has brought us greedy leaders, has brought us looters, has brought us thieves, have brought us drug dealers, criminals, scoundrels, people with no integrity. And they have messed up Kenya, they have messed up Nairobi. Join with me, come along with me, vote for me. Let us start the process of transforming our country, one county at a time. Viva patriots! Viva! Viva! Let us vote for a man of integrity. Let us vote for the integrity team of Miguna and Karen Wangenyi. Let us move forward with the transformation team. Viva!